President Trump prepares to address the UN today after making a series of aggressive moves on the world stage.
We were going to keep Bagram, the big air base, one of the biggest air bases in the world. We gave it to him for nothing. We're trying to get it back, by the way.
I'm Georgia Howe with Daily Wire Executive Editor John Bickley. It's Tuesday, September 23rd, and this is Morning Wire.
The Trump administration is warning pregnant women against using Tylenol, citing a potential link to autism.
There are associations between the duration of acetaminophen use and the risk of autism in children subsequently, as well as the proximity to the time of birth.
And President Trump takes what he's calling a historic step to stop companies from, quote, shipping in cheap foreign labor.
We need workers, we need great workers, and this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen.
Thanks for waking up with Morning Wire. Stay tuned. We have the news you need to know.
This episode is brought to you by American Beverage, representing the local and many family-owned bottlers and distributors of Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, and Pepsi products operating in all 50 states. These are drinks we've all loved for generations. These iconic brands are part of the American story and have been for over 100 years. With all the talks about American jobs lately, American beverage companies have been delivering on that promise all along. They always have been and always will be American companies making American products with American workers in American hometowns. 275,000 men and women in all 50 states show up every day, do the work, and deliver for our economy and our communities. Learn more about America's beverage companies at wedeliverforamerica.org.
Ahead of his highly anticipated address to the United Nations today, President Trump is demanding the Taliban return a key airbase in Afghanistan.
Daily Wire senior editor Cabot Phillips is here with the latest. So, Cabot, a big week in New York City. President Trump is due to address the United Nations General Assembly today. What are we expecting to hear?
Well, fireworks. There are usually fireworks when Trump gets before the UN. It sometimes seems like he kind of enjoys ruffling the feathers of diplomats, especially when they're on his home turf in New York City. So there are a few key storylines that we're tracking. First, whether Trump will commit to more U.S. funding of the United Nations. Remember, he has long questioned the effectiveness of the organization, saying they're inefficient and bloated and too reliant on American dollars. After taking office, he withdrew the U.S. from a number of UN agencies like the Human Rights Council and World Health Organization. He also rescinded about $1 billion in funding that Congress had already appropriated. And then he ordered a review of any future funds going to the UN, saying he wanted to ensure that their mission, quote, aligned with our national interests. And that funding is still frozen. As a result, the UN is facing a serious budget crunch right now. To save money, they've started on plans to move offices from New York and Geneva to more cost-effective places like Nairobi, Kenya. They're also planning to cut thousands of jobs and then consolidate a number of their smaller agencies. Trump's speech today will reportedly touch on his, quote, vision of how the United States is approaching the world. The Assembly is hoping that approach includes more funding commitments for the UN.
Now, coming off of Keir Starmer's announcement last week, are we expecting Trump to talk at all about the Palestinian situation?
Yeah, that's the big question. Right now, Trump's speech will coincide with a separate conference on Palestinian statehood that's being hosted by France and Saudi Arabia. As we mentioned yesterday, Canada, Britain, and Australia each offered recognition of a Palestinian state for the first time this weekend. They joined about 150 of 193 UN member states who've now done so. But while Trump has seemingly grown a bit more frustrated with Bibi Netanyahu, saying he needs to, quote, wrap up the war in Gaza, he is still expected to offer his support of Israel today. The State Department issued a statement calling the push for Palestinian statehood, quote, a publicity stunt and reward for terrorism. Those comments also come after the U.S. last week vetoed another UN resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, which the administration again says would disproportionately benefit Hamas. Now, for his part, Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas will make the case for statehood to the Assembly on Thursday, but he'll have to do that remotely given the fact that the Trump administration canceled his visa.
Now, the backdrop to all of this is the Senate recently confirmed Trump's new ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz. What do we know about him?
Yeah, the former Green Beret and Florida congressman was confirmed by the Senate on Friday and has already hit the ground running. He addressed the UN Security Council yesterday and pushed back on recent incursions into NATO airspace by Russian fighters and sort of drew a clear line in the sand. Have a listen.
The United States and our allies will defend every inch of NATO territory. Russia must urgently stop such dangerous behavior. This event, following on the heels of the Russian drone incursion into Polish airspace, creates the impression that Russia either wants to escalate and pull more countries into this conflict with Ukraine, or doesn't have full control of those who operate its fighter planes and drones. So either scenario is very disconcerting.
Now, something John mentioned at the top of this segment is Trump is putting more pressure on Afghanistan. What does he want?
Yeah, this one a bit overlooked, but last week, President Trump publicly announced his intention to reclaim Bagram Air Base, which was abandoned and taken over by the Taliban following the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan under President Biden. When Trump was asked if he would be willing to use U.S. troops to retake the base, he didn't really give a clear answer, and that was very noteworthy. Here he is from the White House Saturday.
We're talking now to Afghanistan, and we want it back, and we want it back soon, right away. And if they don't do it, you're going to find out what I'm going to do.
Those comments were followed by a post on Truth Social in which Trump warned that, quote, bad things are going to happen if Afghanistan doesn't give Bagram Air Base back to those that built it, the United States of America. Now, for their part, the Taliban rejected Trump's plan, with one official saying, quote, a deal over even an inch of Afghanistan soil is not possible. We don't need it.
Oh, that is going to be very difficult, to say the least. Cabot, thanks for reporting.
Absolutely.
By the time the average person reaches 60, they've likely cycled through numerous fad diets, collectively losing and regaining several hundred pounds over the years. All that yo-yo dieting increases your risk of diabetes, liver problems, and heart issues. The truth is, most of us need more than willpower to break free from this pattern. That's where lean comes in. Unlike those expensive GLP-1 injections, lean is a non-prescription supplement created by doctors specifically for this problem. And the science behind it is rock solid. Lean tackles weight loss 3 ways that actually help you keep it off. It keeps your blood sugar steady, no more energy crashes sending you into a snack cabinet. It controls cravings and that constant hunger feeling. And it helps your body convert fat into energy instead of storing it. I say it all the time, I was skeptical, but I tried it anyway, and before I knew it, I was down a pant size and I was going to the Daily Wire kitchen way less. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and keep it off, add lean to your diet and exercise lifestyle. Get 20% off when you enter code MorningWire at takelean.com. That's code MorningWire at takelean.com today.
President Trump and Secretary Kennedy announced major research findings regarding the spike in national autism rates.
Here with the details is Daily Wire reporter Amanda Presa-Giacomo. Hey, Amanda. So a highly anticipated announcement yesterday. We were really looking forward to this. What exactly did we learn?
Well, there were reports speculating about this for weeks now, but Trump and Kennedy did tie one medication as a potential cause of autism and another as a potential treatment. They said that the use of acetaminophen during pregnancy is tied to an increased risk in autism. Acetaminophen is the active ingredient in Tylenol, and it's one of the most widely used medications globally for pain relief and fever reduction.
So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever.
We were able to speak to FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary about this announcement. Here he is on the importance of letting the public know about this potential risk.
We have an epidemic of autism that has increased 400% in the recent decades, and we don't have a known cause. Now, this may be a cause, but when you have enough evidence to suggest an association, and you have no other plausible cause, we have a duty to notify parents and doctors.
Now, the other major part of this announcement was that a drug called leucovorin, also known as folinic acid, can potentially help treat autism symptoms. Here's more from Dr. Makary.
Only recently have we recognized that some kids with autism actually have an autoimmune disease. And some doctors have actually started to test for this folate antibody, and they will then move on to treat some kids with this folinic acid or vitamin B12 that bypasses the receptor.
And just some quick background here. In April, Kennedy promised his findings on autism would drop this month, and that's exactly what happened. He said at the time the new data showed that autism now affects 1 in 31 children in the U.S. That's nearly 5 times higher than when the CDC first started these surveys back in 1992. Even more troubling, Kennedy noted that a lot of these cases are now very severe.
25% of the kids who are diagnosed with autism are nonverbal, non-toilet trained, and have other stereotypical features, head banging, tactile and light sensitivities, stimming, toe walking, etc.
Kennedy added that these alarming rates just can't simply be explained away by better screenings or even genetics. That's why he commissioned this research to see if outside factors could be identified and lower these rates.
So let's get into some of the reactions to this. First, what have we heard from the maker of Tylenol?
So Kirk Perry, the CEO of Kenvue, which makes Tylenol, he reportedly had a hastily scheduled meeting with Secretary Kennedy last week over reports about this announcement. Perry argued in this private meeting that there is no causal link between Tylenol use during pregnancy and autism. He argued that Tylenol is a safe option for pregnant women, especially if they spike a fever, and added that other options actually do have links to birth defects. Since early September, the Kenvue stock has dropped about 15%.
What about the medical establishment? What have we heard from them?
Well, at the outset of this, when Kennedy first announced that he'd be looking into the spike in autism rates, there was outrage from the medical establishment, from legacy media, and some Democrats. They said that this was about Kennedy being, quote, anti-vax and promulgating dangerous misinformation. We asked McCary about this tension.
We have this odd new political landscape that's penetrated science where you're supposedly not allowed to ask certain questions. It's created a tremendous amount of distrust. But I can tell you the purpose of science itself is to investigate questions. We've got blind spots. There are sacred cow topics we're not supposed to talk about.
Well, we've certainly seen under Kennedy so far, there's no questions that he's unwilling to ask. Amanda, thanks for reporting.
You're welcome.
President Trump has signed an executive order that the White House says will curb abuse of a system that's frozen Americans out of good jobs. Confusion over that order, however, has raised questions over how it works and who it applies to.
H-1B visas allow companies to hire foreign workers for specialized jobs when companies can't find a skilled American to fill that position. Critics of the program, though, say it's been abused to undercut American wages. Here to break down Trump's order and the administration's crackdown on H-1Bs is Tim Pierce. So, Tim, this announcement came Friday. What kind of changes are coming for this program?
Yeah, that question was up for debate over the weekend. The last we heard from the White House is that the order places a $100,000 one-time per employee fee on any company that wants a new H-1B visa. According to an ex-post from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, this is not an annual fee, and it does not apply to any current H-1B holders who are outside the country or whose visas are up for renewal. But that was not the message put out by the White House on Friday. Here's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who was standing just behind the president during the order signing.
Well, they're $100,000 per year. So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000, then they have to pay the employee. So it's just not economic. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land. Train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs. That's the policy here, $100,000 a year for H-1B visas.
As you heard, Lutnick repeatedly referred to an annual fee, which prompted Leavitt to correct Lutnick over the weekend. And that as reports came out that companies were hurriedly bringing back their H-1B workers to the U.S. just in case before the order went into effect on Sunday just after midnight.
So this is a one-time charge for new H-1B holders. Now, this is kind of a precarious move for Trump, though, because at least in the last election, he forged an alliance with a lot of big tech companies, and they are notorious for using H-1B visas.
That's right. But, you know, there might be a lot less disagreement here than you would think. Now, yes, there are some of the president's supporters who want to see the H-1B program massively reduced, if not canceled entirely. But even among the president's supporters in the tech sector, they'll say that the system could use reform. All the way back in December, Elon Musk, who is a huge supporter of H-1B, posted on X that the program is broken and needs major reform. He said many complaints about abuse could be addressed by, quote, raising the minimum salary significantly and adding a yearly cost for maintaining the H-1B, making it materially more expensive to hire from overseas than domestically.
Although that would be an even tougher stance than the current executive order.
Right, though the administration is going to do more on this issue. The Department of Labor rolled out Project Firewall on Friday. Here's some of the promo.
For too long, Washington politicians have stayed silent as employers abused H-1B visas under President Trump. This is coming to an end. Today, the Department of Labor is proud to launch Project Firewall.
Project Firewall is a Labor Department initiative to crack down on abuse in the H-1B program. According to the department, it will conduct investigations of employers through Project Firewall to maximize H-1B program compliance. Violations could mean back wages to workers, civil fines, or even disbarment from the H-1B program for a time. The goal here is to, quote, safeguard the rights, wages, and job opportunities of highly skilled American workers by ensuring employers prioritize qualified Americans when hiring.
That's an important goal, but also you don't want to cramp businesses too much. Tim, thanks for reporting.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for waking up with us. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be back this evening with more news you need to know.
Let's be honest, even when we're trying our best, most of us still aren't getting enough fruits, vegetables, and fiber in our diet. That's where Balance of Nature comes in. Their fruit supplement is packed with mango, pineapple, wild blueberries, banana, and more, and it tastes amazing mixed into your morning oatmeal, yogurt, or smoothies. Their veggie supplement has powerhouse ingredients like kale, spinach, broccoli, and even shiitake mushrooms, making it easy to add on salads, soups, and savory dishes. And here's what's really cool. They've got this fiber and spice blend that's the only supplement combining 12 spices with 4 whole fibers. What I appreciate most is how convenient they are. No bags, no mess, no measuring, just clean, quality ingredients I can take anywhere. Plus, everything is vegan, kosher, and gluten-free, and they back it all up with independent third-party lab testing. I can rest easy knowing I'm investing in myself and my health. Head over to balanceofnature.com and use promo code WIRE for 35% off your first order as a preferred customer, plus get a free bottle of that fiber and spice. That's balanceofnature.com, promo code WIRE.